Business and Bourbon. I've got a VIP guest here, but you guys know what we do. This is not an interview show. This is a dialogue show.
There's nothing off limits today, so this should be good.
Oh, nothing off limits. Love it.
Yeah, here's what's clear. I'm the man.
We're socially distancing everywhere.
Do you have the ability to get back up after you've been punched? And if you haven't been punched, then you're not setting your goals high enough.
What about when you've been Chris Tuckered? When you've been knocked the F out? Right. So
sales is an interesting world because one day you think you're going to make $1 million and the next day you're pretty sure you're going to get fired. So it's this huge span of emotional changes. So admitting that I was a failure, and it still chokes me up today. I take a supplement called True Niagen NAD.
I take something too. It's called Bourbon and Rye weekly.
We are blessed to be around the greatest profession in the world, where if you'll be smart, if you'll study it, if you'll treat it like a profession, you can change your life and your children's.
No doubt. Welcome back to Business and Bourbon, where we have real talk with real people. It's been a couple of months since our last episode. We've all been quarantining. We've all been in our homes. And now some of our businesses, our bars and restaurants are starting to open back up. Now we're practicing our social distancing if we're smart, but getting back out there and starting to live our lives again. And I'm just so excited to bring you this episode that we have recorded back in our home at King and Duke in Buckhead at Atlanta. And, we had some opportunity to continue to do this podcast in a virtual way, right? But that's not something that I was going to do. You see, I'm committed to giving you, the audience, the very best experience. And part of the Business and Bourbon experience is that feeling, that vibe, that magic that's created when I sit down next to someone at the bar, we have a drink and we have real talk. I'm staring in their eyes. They're sharing a little bit of vulnerability, and you guys get to ride in the seat right next to us. That's something I certainly was not willing to compromise. That's not something we can do in Zoom. So with that said, guys, I'm really excited to bring Business and Bourbon back to you. We've got episodes that'll be popping out here week after week, but today's episode I felt was something that I really wanted to bring to you guys, as a lot of you are still dealing with pandemic and will be for quite some time. Either maybe you've lost your job or you've had to downsize, you've had to lay people off. There's a lot going on out there and there's a lot of stress. So I wanted to bring someone on that's seen these things before. Yes, none of us have seen a pandemic, but I'm going to tell you what, if you're an entrepreneur, you have certainly seen bad times. Whether it is a pandemic or something else, it's all the same to us. And so I wanted to bring someone on that's actually been through it. On the other side, enjoying life, very successful, but came to that success through some really rough times in business. And so I wanted him to share how he got there. So I've got Ken Lundeen on today. He's an expert salesman, expert sales trainer, and a very experienced entrepreneur with wisdom. So with that said, guys, I've been waiting for 3 months to tell you to grab your cup, grab your glass, grab your mug, grab whatever the heck it is that you like to drink out of, because it's time. Oh yeah, it's time. Pour your very favorite beverage into that bad boy. Sit down next to us and enjoy a little Business and Bourbon. Welcome back to Business and Bourbon, where we have real talk with real people. And I got to tell you guys, this is probably the most excited I've been since episode 1. Just coming out of this quarantine, and man, just to have the opportunity to get back at the King and Duke in lovely Buckhead, Atlanta. And again, if you guys have not been to the King and Duke, you're missing out. Anytime you get to Atlanta, come to King and Duke. Tell them Ronell sent you. But anyway, I'm here. It looks a little bit different because they've moved things around. We're socially distancing everywhere, being responsible. So thank you, King and Duke. Very safe in here. But man, just so excited to get back to some of the things that I used to do, right? Getting out into the city, really enjoying a great cocktail, enjoying the energy that comes with the city. So it's coming back. And I am so excited. So yeah, very excited to bring this episode. I'm sorry, guys, it took so long, but you know how we do. I mean, it has to be in person, live, face to face. That is how we do business in bourbon. That's what you've come to expect. And I would absolutely never cheat you guys, the audience. I want you to get that real experience. I want you to feel like you're sitting right here next to us. So it had to be here at the King and Duke, had to be here face to face. And now we are back, baby. We are back, and I am excited. And you know, what makes me even a little bit more excited about this is that I've got a VIP guest here, but you guys know what we do. This is not an interview show. This is a dialogue show. This is a conversation show. And I have wanted to have this gentleman on for a long ass time, and it hasn't worked out. And I wanted to have him on because he's just one of the realest guys that I know. He's been there. He's done that. He's seen it. And like myself, he has seen his share of failures, but yet he continues to land on his feet and succeed. And this dude is a personal inspiration to me. So, Jesus Christ, I just built you up, brother. I don't know how you're going to live up to that.
Yeah, here's what's clear. I'm the man.
So guys, I want to introduce my friend, Ken Lundin.
Hey, what is going on? I could not be more excited to be here. You know, right now we've been talking about this, whether it was on the boat or in Minneapolis or many of the things that you and I have been able to do together. So, man, I am fired up, and there's nothing off limits today. So this should be good.
Oh, nothing off limits. Love it. Love it. That's another reason why I wanted you on. Those are my favorite type of guests. Because, you know, we give them straight to the gut here. Yeah. Like there's never going to be any, you guys know, there's not going to be any BS. And if people are uncomfortable talking about the uncomfortable, well, go do somebody else's show. There's plenty of them. There's 700,000 podcasts out there, and all of them want to interview celebrities that are just sharing nothing that really matters. Here, we want to share what's going to help you. It's always about the audience, always will be. That's how I roll. So with that said, Ken, see, now I'm getting comfortable. If you guys, for those of you guys that are watching this on video, you'll see now I'm kind of kicked back. I pulled the microphone out in my Ronell relax mode. So Ken, tell the audience who you are. Tell them a little bit about your business, and we'll get that stuff out the way.
Get it out of the way. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm founder of Ken Lundin Associates. Ronell, we've had a lot of time to work together. We've done trainings together. We've been in front of businesses. We've advised business leaders. So we've done all of those sort of things. We're a company that goes out and helps companies accelerate revenue. And so that's just a bunch of ways we do that, from new products and services we've just launched to kind of the traditional ways. You know, I just had one of the companies that I started with 3 years ago. They were on the verge of bankruptcy, and they just signed a deal and sold it for, you know, tens of millions of dollars just this last week. So yeah, we've had some good success with our clients.
How many shares did you have? Some shares? Did you get some equity? Or
well, you know, there was the commissionable component of the comp, but we'll talk about that later.
Next time we got to work that in, my friend. Gotta get that equity next time.
Yeah,
that's awesome
good.
though.
Yeah,
those are the stories that get us geeked up. I mean, you like myself, I guess we're what people would call serial entrepreneurs. I don't know. I've never really dug that term.
No.
What about you?
First of all, serial reminds me of serial killer. So I don't know that I want that in front of them. It's something that describes me. But no, I think, you know, at the end of the day, what does this come down to? And it's whether you have your own business or whether or not you're in a business. It's just about, do you have the ability to get back up after you've been punched? And if you haven't been punched, then you're not setting your goals high enough. And so I think the best way to probably kind of talk about it is kings want to talk to kings, and that's where I want to fly. So that's what we'll keep doing. We'll keep reaching high.
I love that, dude. And what I really like about you is that one of the many things, but you know, you said get punched, right?
Yeah.
Well, what about when you've been Chris Tuckered? When you've been knocked the F out, right? So like, hey, that happens. It happens in business. And how do we deal with it? How do we recover? It's something that when we put ourselves out there, first of all, it takes a tremendous amount of courage. And if you're risking to create something great, to make something great, well, the flip side is, you can crap out too. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do, it is Business and Bourbon, my friends. And guys, don't think I forgot. I know how we do. We got to start with their drinks. What are you drinking?
I have no idea.
You have.
You should tell me so it's not off limits, but I look like an idiot. So bartender's choice.
So here's the thing. I've done that many times in Business and Bourbon because we have such fantastic bartenders here at King and Duke. So I'll just say, hey, make me something dope, and they'll make it, and I'll get on air like now, and I'll be like, I don't know, but it tastes really good. Me, I decided to go with the classic King and Duke Old Fashioned, which is different than the typical Old Fashioned. They do some fun stuff with it. Getting back out, getting back in the business community, getting back here to K&D, this is just something that to just make me feel like things are more normal than they are. So let's clink this bad boy up. Ah, that was a nice clink.
Yeah.
All right, let me take a look.
I've done this once or twice.
We're both old sales guys, so yeah, we've got some experience in.
Yeah, wasn't it? You remember the old sales meetings? I don't know if you did this. I'm sure you did, because it was every Salesforce I was at back when we were young, the national sales meeting. And really what it was just kind of a culling of the herd, because you had to be able to prove to people that you could go out till 3 a.m. and still make the 8 o'clock call in the big auditorium with everybody else and not look like you'd been drinking all night.
So first of all, has that ever changed?
Well, I mean, now I feel like the new salespeople coming up are going to miss that kind of that rite of passage, so to speak.
Listen, brother, I don't think it's changed that much. Like, really, like, it's these conventions, these corporate retreats, whatever, although the national sales meetings or sales conferences are usually an opportunity for you to get together with all your buddies, go out, have drinks, and usually get up too late, miss the first couple of sessions. I have been there a few times. So, hey, let's kind of hop into some stuff.
Yeah.
So our audience is it's all over the place in terms of level of experience, but we have a lot of salespeople. Sure. We have a lot of entrepreneurs. That's just that's the MO for Business and Bourbon, or people that are interested in entrepreneurship. But I know that you share philosophies in sales that I share. First of all, everything is sales. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think, here's the difference, right? And so let's just cut to the chase, right? You're either trying to have influence in a conversation or you're trying to be right. And if you're trying to have influence, that's sales. And if you're trying to be right, it's because you don't want to have any friends. So, everything's some form of sales. I mean, sales is it's mastering the art of communication. Mm-hmm. So everything ranks right there.
Mastering the art of communication. I noticed you didn't say learning how to trick people. Oh, I hate that. I hate when people have the perception that great salesmanship is somehow trickery. Yeah. Just like you said, it's the art of learning great communication.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your story. Tell us a little bit about kind of your business career. Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, and I'll do the quick rundown, because now that I'm getting older, it takes longer and I think a little bit slower.
Dude, so you don't look a day over 29. What are you talking about?
Perfect. I'll keep going back.
Let's go. Yeah,
you keep saying nice things. So just sales guy out of the get, right? Was a perennial underperformer in college, graduated that fantastic solid 2.7 maybe,
Yeah, 2.7.
Yeah, maybe.
How much did that matter when you got out into the real world?
It was more irrelevant, because I actually got hired at a stock brokerage, and all they wanted to know is how many cold calls that I made for Merrill Lynch while I was in college. Mm-hmm. So, kind of that, always been in sales, gone that route. Was part of an Inc. 500 management team 4 years in a row, where we grew a company from 2 to 80 million, then moved around. I'm kind of a mutt, an industry mutt, so to speak, which is not what people look for today, but it's really, really helped me in my career. Been a senior VP, been a chief sales officer, all that kind of stuff. So just kind of there, but I got punched in the face. I've been an entrepreneur. In 2006, I bought my first business. In 2011, I filed bankruptcy. So I kid often with my clients, especially when I'm talking to salespeople, right? And I kid often with them, and I say, sales is an interesting world, because one day you think you're going to make $1 million, and the next day you're pretty sure you're going to get fired. So it's this huge span of emotional changes. So been through it all, and continue to, even in my consulting career for the last 3 years. I even feel as a fractional kind of chief sales officer, where I'm still talking to companies like Uber and companies like that and helping to sell deals. And so I think it keeps me sharp, because it lets me test all the stuff that's out there. Because there's too many, I guess I'll get on my soapbox. There's too many helicopter sales trainers, man. There's too many people who fly in, don't care about whether or not people are successful. They give you a training, you leave, and you retain about 6 seconds of what they actually gave to you. Mm-hmm. And so, what I've really enjoyed over the last few years is that ability to continue to go, hey, you know what, Ronell? This thing we're talking about, I screwed it up last week.
Yeah.
Here's how I fixed it. Mm-hmm. Right. And to actually have some real impact, because it's about changing lives, man. This is what we do, is about, we are blessed to be around the greatest profession in the world, where if you'll be smart, if you'll study it, if you'll treat it like a profession, which is a whole nother rant of mine, you can change your income and you can change your life and your children's.
No doubt. No doubt. I think it's the most noble profession in the whole world. Am I biased? Yep, but it's true.
Yeah.
Just because I'm biased don't mean that's not true.
It's irrelevant if you're biased, if it's true. Absolutely.
So I want to know a little bit more about, you started your company in 2006, and it goes without saying, you guys know when people are on the show, they've experienced a lot of success, and that's not what we really care so much about. So yes, Ken's a successful guy. He's built a successful consulting business, but I want to talk about what that was like for you in 2011. So in 2006, start this company.
Yeah, I actually bought a business. So that Inc. 500 company that I was a part of the management team was a franchise model. And so I bought the Atlanta location, moved out here, took it over essentially. So, I've got SBA loans and all the good stuff that comes with it. Going through that process, tripled sales in 18 months. I was a sales guy and I tripled sales. And you're like, oh, awesome. Well, that sucks when you don't realize that, all your, when you talk about your principal payments coming off of your balance sheet, not realizing why all that money's not going to your net income. And so you go through this process where we then growing the company and taking on fixed overhead. 2008, 2009 hit, and it was interesting because when I look back, I didn't see revenue decrease. And so you're like, huh. And I was selling a highly discretionary income thing. I mean, we were doing garage remodels, man. So like, and I'm talking about not cheap ones. I'm talking they went anywhere from 4,000 to 50. And I'm like, holy cow, we're kind of insulated somehow. Maybe because the people who buy our stuff have money. And then when I look back and see the data, all the smart money had stopped spending with me. So I was doing the same revenue, but I was doing a lot of little jobs.
Yeah.
And so you look backwards and you kind of see, oh, the smart money. And then was just, we just got to this place, and then emotionally, you and I have talked about this, and it still chokes me up today. That process of going through that, admitting that I was a failure. And everyone's like, oh, no, the economy. Oh, no. I've still got great friends that are doing what I was doing that I put in the business 10 years, or I guess 2006, 2007. Yeah. So it's, holy cow, 15 years ago, they're still doing the same thing. So no, for me, it was a complete failure because we all want to think we're the smartest guy in the room. So went through that process, and finally it was just the right business decision to make, but emotionally scarred me for years after that. It probably took me 2 years after the bankruptcy before I was actually like the Ken from 5 or 10 years before, being able to talk to people and communicate and so forth. And so, God, when I came out of that bankruptcy, I had to go take a mid-level sales job. I was running essentially an $80 million company before I bought my company. And then I had to go take a mid-tier sales job. Took a mid-tier sales job, was with Insperity, which just can't thank enough for just the impact that they had on my life, resetting the way I see the world. And then got set. And then here's the awesome part about it. I mean, all that stuff sucks, but the awesome part about it is sales skills do come back.
Yeah.
It's muscle memory, baby. And so we mid-level sales thing, then took a VP job, and then took an SVP job in 12 months. So you can get out of the blocks, but it was a pretty hard time. Marriage was in trouble. I thought I insulated my kids from it. And honestly, we're in church one day, and my daughter was getting baptized. And they do these nice videos. It's one of Andy Stanley's churches. And they do these nice videos, and they talk about the stuff. And I can still see the video, like I'm sitting in church like yesterday, and she goes in the video in front of God and everybody, as they say. Mm-hmm. She goes, and then we lost our house, and that was the start of the end. Mm. And we were trying to negotiate. That was that whole thing with the banks where you could negotiate. You had to miss 90 days of payments before they'd let you renegotiate your loan. It was the first week of December. I got a knock on my door, and the bank had not notified me. They'd put my house on auction.
Wow.
First week of December, lost my house, had to be out by the new year. Woo! Came out the other side, but yeah, it was emotionally traumatizing.
So what was that process like? What helped you to get through that experience?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing probably helped me was getting back to focusing on the things I can control. And that's kind of a staple within my life for most of it. And you've seen that in just the way I talk to people today, right? I have this thing called the 3-foot rule. And if it's not in the 3 feet radius around my body and I can't actively control it, then I don't put emotional energy into it.
Yeah.
So one was I started to work on controlling the things I could control. And two, people got to get out of their own way and get the blinders off. I had to get the blinders off that I had a freaking problem. And my problem was I had been going through such a bad down spell on that journey emotionally that I was one difficult son of a gun to actually talk to and deal with. Mm-hmm. So it's like take the blinders off, focus on the things that I can control. And then from there, it was also the third thing I would say, the third leg of that stool was to lean back into the things I was really, really good at. Mm-hmm. That's where selling helped, because I could take control of my life, because I could do the thing I'd always done, which is I was always great at finding out what Ronell needs and figuring out whether or not I'm uniquely qualified to solve it. So that gave me the path to get out of that emotional nightmare that I've been in for years.
So obviously there's scar tissue, there's some trauma built up from that. So, what made you decide to go back out and create your consulting firm?
Oh yeah, what a great question, because I can think about the moment. There's two things. One of them from the lessons that I learned. So as an example, I went to a couple of Vistage groups, which is a CEO group, and did a talk on, I called it my $737,000 MBA. Because when I did the numbers on the last year in business, even though I had filed bankruptcy, and the first year I was running it at a rate of $700,000 more profitable over the course of the 5 years. If I'd have been doing everything I was doing in year 5, I'd be fine, right? And so I called that my real world MBA. Mm-hmm. So first thing was, like, at that time I had discussions with my now ex-wife, and she said, well, you don't want to own a business again. I said, well, yeah, I do. It's a really expensive lesson not to apply.
Wow.
Right?
Hold on. Pause on that. Say that again.
Yeah. So there'd be a really expensive lesson not to apply.
How about that? Wow. So I've never really heard it put that way, And I think that's something for a lot of people to pick up on and learn from, that have been through, because, we've seen the statistics. Most of you that have started businesses have closed those businesses and closed them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right. But you learned something through it. So did you take that experience and allow it to create greater fear, or to your point, learn from that experience and apply that new IP that you gained from it? I love that.
Yeah, I think my clients now, one of the phrases, and my clients will even tell you this now, but a lot of our clients say they pay me to see around corners. Because I know what it's like to do that. I know what it's like to get beat up, and I can, and so I'm going to inherently look for some of those risks. So that was kind of the first thing. And, the second thing was, the easy answer, I was ready. The easy answers, I was ready, and it was a lesson I was ready to go out and do. And I felt like I think as a business owner, you do it. You're doing it with this podcast and about the 774,000 other things you're doing. Because
746,000.
Oh, my fault. I exaggerated. But I think what I crave to make a bigger impact in this world, right? And working for an individual company as opposed to going out on my own consulting. I'm building a team. I built a team around that. I want to make an impact, man. And the best way that I can do that is by spreading that knowledge and spreading those lessons I've learned over a multitude of clients.
Nice. So let's take a quick departure, because this is a fun show.
Yep.
And that was some fantastic information. I love that. And I think a lot of people can get some tremendous benefit from it. But they also want to know a little bit more about Ken, the person.
Yeah.
One of the questions that's fun for me, because I'm a music guy.
Yeah.
In particular, I have a very diversified taste in terms of music, but I'm kind of a hip hop head too. But I always like to ask people about their musical taste. Now, typically I ask about their favorite hip hop artists. I will start there. Do you have a favorite hip hop artist?
Nobody knew, because I'm an old white guy, right? And in this time,
you're not that damn old, but you keep saying that, man. You're aging yourself.
So
first of all, I've been in the gym with you, dude. I see you outworking 22-year-olds, man, kicking their ass.
Yeah. So it's mostly old school. So I drop back to old school rap. I drop back to Tupac and Eminem, and lately been getting a little bit into Drake and Future, but the Future, but that's the hip hop side of it. But I am that, if you look at me in the gym with the AirPods on, there's an 87% chance that I've got like some 90s rap on it going on in my brain. So
yes. Okay. So is that your favorite genre of music, or what's your favorite genre if not?
I probably default to country. I mean, that's where I end up.
You just lost your street cred with me.
Well, no, but here's the good news, right? I've literally listened to everything. It's the same way I drink. This guy asked me what he wanted to make, and he goes, "What do you like?" And I go, "Well, whiskey, bourbon, vodka, wine, whatever."
I've seen you do that in person. So, okay, I would say you lost your street cred with me a little bit, because I have very diversified taste. I've listened to lots of different types of music, styles of music. Country, I have a problem with if it is not Johnny Cash.
Oh my goodness.
The Man in Black.
I've got a Johnny Cash shirt. Does that help give me some credit back?
It does, because he was a badass, man. Yeah. Like the out man, badass. So
no, it's good.
If you're down with Johnny Cash. If y'all don't know, I got some hip hop heads that are listening to this, some alternative folks, some rock folks, whatever. Johnny Cash he's one of those badasses of life.
Yeah.
Not even music, of life. There's certain people, you go past, the last, 50, 60 years, and there's just certain people that are just cool. Denzel Washington, just cool.
Yeah, cool.
Johnny Cash, Steve McQueen, guys like that, just, except those, Steve McQueen, I don't even know why he was cool, but he was cool.
He
wasn't the best looking guy. He's just cool.
No. But yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and I agree with you. Denzel. I'm trying to think of who else. There's some other ones out there.
Cool guys right now. Who am I a bit partial to? So there's two guys I think right now I'm a bit partial to. Is just being like, man, I want to be like them, and that would be Idris Elba and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I think Brad Pitt's just. I mean, those guys are just like effortlessly cool.
Yeah.
They just show up and they're like, the guy, the quintessential guy that every woman digs and every man wants to be. You know?
Yeah. Well, I want to be Ronell Richards. So.
Well, I've heard that a lot. I have certainly heard that a lot. And I want to be Ken Lundeen, at least in the gym. This guy's a monster. Let's talk about that real quick because for both of us, fitness is a very important part of what we do.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, what it means to you as it relates to your life, your business, how it impacts?
Yeah, one word: discipline. Right. Here's the problem. Right? You and I compete with a lot of guys who may have sold something or may have sold nothing, may have been successful or may not have been successful at all. Yeah. All they had to, they can go to Alpha Graphics or print their card.
Usually not. For the record, usually not.
Yeah, they can print their business card online.
Calling y'all out.
Yeah. And then they say they're a sales consultant. And then they fly in, they give a
coach.
Yeah, they fly in, they give a training, they do the thing. And so the thing for me is discipline, because ultimately the most successful, the elite of the elite, look across anything you want in life, they all have discipline to do the thing, right? And that is what it is for me, like the discipline of the fitness, because it's actually not being in the gym that's the hard part. It's the other 23 hours a day when I can stuff my face with other stuff. It's the 23 hours a day that I'm not paying attention to what that means for my life. Because I can tell you that if you take that to the rest of my life, when I'm disciplined in my life, fantastic things happen. When I'm a little off, I'm just kind of coasting. And so for me, the thing about the fitness level of this and always pushing and challenging myself is the exact same thing when I talk to leaders, and that's and business owners and et cetera. It's like, look, you got to have the discipline to continue to push yourself.
Where does that come from for you?
Which part?
The discipline and being able to execute on discipline, because, I often say on the Day Drinking podcast, and I don't often say, I say it every damn time, that the difference in being successful is not these major actions. It's just executing with consistency and discipline. So for you, I mean, the discipline is super hard for people. So for you, where the hell does that come from? Is it something that you had to build and create, or did you just always have it?
No. I've had ADD undiagnosed. So it could be ADHD or something.
Probably is.
Right. I have to stay focused and do it. And it takes work, and I have to work at it. And the thing is, it's just kind of my why. I am disciplined because of the larger goals that I have in my life, and I will not leave it up to chance that they will come to me. I am going to put the work in to do it. I can tell you right now, I've got a good friend of mine who used to work for me at a company, and then I put him at another company, was the number one salesperson at my company. I put him in another company after I became a consultant, and he became the number one salesperson there. And the number one thing we would have showed, is he a little better in the room than some people? Yeah. Can he hold a conversation a little better? Yeah. Does he understand the product a little better? Maybe. But you know what he does? He freaking shows up and does the damn work every day. He does the visits. He talks to the people. It's just the discipline to go do the thing. And it's that idea, right? Perfect's the enemy of great, right? And that's a big deal. Everybody's waiting for the perfect thing to happen. And that's just a bunch of BS, to be honest. That's done is better than perfect. It's one of my favorite quotes from Mark Zuckerberg.
Done is better than perfect.
Just take action. Have a bias for action.
Where did Mark Zuckerberg steal that quote from?
I don't know. Where did he steal it from?
Mark Zuckerberg burn.
He probably stole it from somebody, didn't he? Where did he steal it from?
Yeah, he stole Facebook from someone.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Never mind. Now I'm with you. See, I'm not that bright. I was actually going, I thought you had a name. But, yeah. But, so that's the idea. I don't know. You got to work. It's literally you have to work and you have to care. And it's not about hustle. It's about doing the right thing.
So translating that to the rest of your business and life, because that's, I think, again, going back to the basic concept that this discipline and consistency is required to be successful. Is that the foundation of your discipline, like that you're carrying on to everything else? Does it start with your fitness, or did it start?
Yeah, no, it starts with the fitness. I heard Tony Robbins say it once, right? The body follows the mind and the mind follows the body. So I choose.
Whenever Tony Robbins say, you should listen, because he's got a big ass head. Yeah. That must have a big brain.
Yeah. But
Tony Robbins burn. I'm sorry, man.
You're all over it. I'm giving them. Well, see, I'm setting them up so you can knock them down.
Yes, you are.
That's why it's a good team.
I appreciate that. I've been reading a book by Jocko.
Sure. Jocko Wilkins.
Yes. Everyone loves Jocko, but I've got a couple of his books, been reading one of his books where he talks a lot about discipline. But I know, and because I'm a practitioner of fitness as well, that for me, it goes way beyond just like, not to minimize discipline, because that's super important. But there are other reasons that I do it now, where it's about my performance in business. Can you tell me a little bit about you and how your fitness routine, the things that you do to make sure that you can perform at a high level in business?
Well, I didn't answer the question very well before, so let me answer the question better this way. What it really does for me is it's a parallel to business in the idea that it's about my performance and that I can measure it, right? And if you can't measure something, then you can't change it. You can't improve it, because you never know where you were or where you're going. And so in my case, when you talk about kind of how those two work synergistically, when you start to talk about fitness and discipline, my performance in the room with people, mentally, being sharp, all those things are the direct byproduct of the ability to have the discipline to do the thing. And so the performance is directly impacted by it. Like literally, there's sometimes I have some people who look at me and they'll go, "You didn't work out today, did you?" Because it's taken me a second to kind of catch up.
Yeah.
But for me, it's I think that's probably the better parallel, is that I'm a big believer that we test and measure, and we test and we measure. And so that transcends whether it's fitness, whether it's business, whatever it is.
And I agree that it helps significantly with cognitive ability.
Yeah.
I want you to share some of the other stuff that you do, because I know you're really big into anti-aging, and you're big into fitness at the cellular level.
Yeah.
And I think this stuff is important for all of us as, we start to age, because we start to change how we view performance. Like for me, I want to be as sharp as possible for this audience. I want to make sure that when it's time for me to sit down with one of my clients and have a consulting session or teach a group of sellers, that I'm the best that I can possibly be. Yeah. And so I know that you're a practitioner of supplements and stuff like that to help you to be more, just to be the best version of yourself. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people out there who are experts on this. I'm practicing it. I'm following these guys too. But the basic premise.
You're not an expert?
Well,
you guys shut the hell up then. No, we're not. Because we only have experts on this.
But I got opinions.
Okay. That's what we want. We want strong opinions. We
got opinions, and consult a physician or something. There
we go. We'll go ahead and put that out there.
Put a disclaimer.
Consult your physician, and we cannot be held liable for any of the shit that's about to come out of Ken's mouth. Blah, blah, blah. What do you got to say?
All right, so here's the gig. So when people ask me, so go to the fitness why, right? There's other things with that. When they ask me, like, first of all, they go, why do you do what you do in the gym? I have two reasons. I want my girlfriend to want to see me naked. Okay, so that's probably reason number one. And number two is that I want to live every single day on this earth to the fullest ability I can, and I will not accept the answer that I'm just simply getting old, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just crap. Because there's too many things you can do. And so, so I follow, it's from an anti-aging perspective. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's these things called blue zones throughout the world, which is where the populations that live incredibly long. And so when you look at most of those blue zones as an example, and this will tie into the cellular component, they have some form of fasting in their religions and cultures, because longer extended fasts actually help get rid of things at the cellular level, and they get rid of the waste. And so they actually can live longer. And it's things about how can we get to the cellular level or the mitochondrial level in order to kind of really do it. Like, we can lose weight, and we can lose visceral fat, and, we can look skinny, and we can do all the other stuff. But if you're rotting from the inside out, just like a bad apple, it's not going to matter. And so, yeah, I really follow. So like, there's Ben Greenfield's out there, Dave Asprey's out there. I follow some of these guys. Dave Asprey has a stated goal of wanting to live to like 125 or something.
No thanks.
Yeah. Well, hey, but it depends on how you're living it, right?
No, it doesn't. Dude, after 100, like, I don't care if you're living a good 100. A good 100 is pretty shitty. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, but that's in the current state. But what if you could live? What if you could be? Let's take it to the other level, right?
Yeah.
What if you could be physically and cognitively the exact same way you are now at 100? Then are you in?
Absolutely.
Right. That's kind of the premise behind all the anti-aging stuff. It's like, I'm just trying to, like, with what I do, I want to be as sharp as possible.
Yeah.
And so, I take a supplement called True Niagen NAD, which is supposed to help with that at the cellular level as well. I'll probably do some NAD plus IVs, but there's stuff like that that's out there that really, really has showed good results.
So what's your take on, because I take something too, it's called Bourbon and Rye Weekly, and I've been told that is that part of.
Well, I've been told resveratrol is really good for you too.
So that's why you drink all that damn red wine. That's why I drink
all that red wine.
All right. I love my spirits so much. I have a hard time moving to the red wine, but maybe a little more red wine will do me some good.
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, you can have it after the spirits, and you can just tell your wife that you're trying to live longer for her.
There you go. There you go. So, hey, man, one of the things I wanted to touch on, too, because you are a PhD in sales, and so I want to make sure that we help our audience that is kind of challenged with the sales piece, which I find with so many of my entrepreneurs. Thanks, guys, because that keeps me employed. But what I see, by and large, is that a lot of our entrepreneurs, they're fantastic at what it is they do.
Sure.
They're great accountants. They're great chiropractors. They're great doctors, whatever it is. And they've built good businesses because of referral quality work, right? They're awesome at that. But what happens is when they want to scale, they have a hard time scaling because they don't know how to sell what it is that they do. So having a PhD in salesmanship, I wondered if you could give us some basic sales philosophy that you teach your clients that can help anyone out there that's like, listen, I need to be better at selling my business.
Yeah, of course. That's awesome. And you and I talked about, we just launched this thing called the Sales Alpha Roadmap. So I'll give you some stuff from that, right? The Sales Alpha Roadmap is exactly it's how do I go find more clients to sell them more stuff, right? And so there's, kind of 9,009 steps that we do in this process, but I'll give you a couple that are just to kind of
9,009. Bro, are you trying to sell this damn thing?
9 steps.
Okay.
9 steps.
All right.
But there's so here's the thing. So there's a few things. One is one of the top problems I see. They're experts at their technical thing. They're great at building software, whatever it is, right? So one of the problems I see is that they say they've got like the persona or the target market narrowed down. What I find is they typically have 80% of that work done, right? And it's the back 20% where the money is, right? Where people will beat down your door. And so one of the ways, I'll just get like tips they can use. This is actionable today. So you could go and literally, if you want to know how to communicate better with your clients, let's tighten up the persona right now and find 3 problems. What's an emotional problem that they're experiencing today that you can help with? What's something going on, frustrating them today? They're having problems managing people, whatever it is. First, that's for the prospect. Second, if they solve the emotional problem, what's the business problem? And then if they were able to solve the emotional and the business problem, what's the intuitive or unknown problem that they're not trying to solve that would still exist? Like, narrow that in, put that in how you talk to people.
Yeah.
And you'll crush. And so one, it's kind of do the persona work, so to speak. I think the other way is that, one of the things that is the biggest mistakes if you're talking about prospecting is the way people go about it. Because guess what, Ronell? I don't want to bug you, so I'm going to call or email you once a month.
Thank you.
Right?
Preach, my friend.
Yeah, there's actually statistics on it that and some of Sales Off's a good partner, and there's statistics on it where bursting, like grouping activities around a 2-day period. So like, and when we kick off lead gen campaigns, we have 4 outreach activities that happen in 2 days.
Yes.
Right. And so
no. Stop, Ken. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. don't start out trying to sell me. How many times have you seen that sort of thing on LinkedIn or social media?
A bunch. It's just silly. So I think that's the other thing, right? That, and then always be other centered. So the biggest thing, if you want just a big takeaway message that can go across everything that you do, if you want to have a more successful, scalable business, you have to put the prospect's interests first, right? So literally it comes down to something very, very simple and clean. Yes and no are great. Maybe sucks. Right. I don't care if you're a great fit. Yep. Let's talk. If you're not a fit, great. Go away.
Yep.
Maybe it's horrible. So that's first. And it all comes down to this question. And the question goes like this. Do you have a problem, Ronell, that I am uniquely qualified to solve? If so, giddy up. If not, we're out.
There you go.
So, but it's about getting your problem.
Which, to that point you made a couple of minutes ago, is why you can do like burst campaigns like that. Like, what I see a lot is from people that aren't successful sellers.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't sell. Don't pitch at the first. No, I mean, part of what we do, and let me clarify this. There are so many different ways of selling. There's different strategies for selling, rather. And that's one of the things that frustrates me the most is when anyone says, oh, don't do this type of selling or that's bullshit. It really comes down to what you're selling, not just what you're selling, what it is that you're trying to accomplish with that initial outreach. Because sometimes, like, I've sold products in the past or had my people selling products that were totally transactional.
Yeah.
They were just like, hey, I'm $10, you're paying $15. That's not a solution. I'm not going to go in and spend a whole bunch of time and no, it's like, hey, look, I'm $10, you're $15. Do you want to buy? Then I want to get all of the non-buyers out of the way to get to the buyers, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, back to your point, I think that what I push against a lot in, as I look on social media and beyond with all the coaches, which some I respect tremendously.
Sure.
Most I do not, because they haven't done the things that you and I, that you and I have done. There's so many ways to be successful in sales. The one thing that I say, Ken, is that your strategies and execution change. It's just the philosophy that never changes, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think you were just talking about. Like, your philosophy, you're true to your philosophy, but how you execute strategies better change.
Yeah, it's got to change some. And here's the thing. So I'm going to change the language and see if you'll come with me.
Yeah. Let's
go. So I am a firm believer that you're selling every time you reach out to a prospect. The difference is what you're selling, because the sales process builds on itself and it's a sales journey that's cumulative. Meaning this, in the very first call, let's say I'm a software company. I'm not selling my software. I'm selling the value of the next appointment, right? And throughout the sales process, what is the purpose that I'm trying to sell in that moment?
Yep.
And that's where they screw it up, right? They're trying to sell the thing. I want to sell my product in meeting one.
Yes.
And that's not it. It's what is the purpose or the intent of this?
Yes. Which in that first initial call, the purpose and intent is to get an appointment.
Yeah. To sell the meeting.
To sell the meeting, not to sell your widget and do all that sort of thing. No, once you have that audience, then just be awesome at doing proper discovery.
Yeah.
Right. So you can really set yourself up to produce a solution that's going to knock it out of the park and into where you're going to win.
Yeah. And use frameworks for that stuff, right? Like, we use something called the perfect discovery call, right? And make sure that your teams know what those look like.
Because otherwise they'll shit the bed.
100%.
They'll show up and they'll talk too damn much.
Yep. 100%.
Not ask the right questions, not ask enough questions, and run their mouth and talk too much about their widget. Instead of finding out what matters the most to them.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about demos. Okay. Let's talk about appointments. You're going to cut this thing up. So I'm going to give you 427 hours worth of stuff. I don't ever exaggerate, as you noticed. Right. But let's talk about demos. How often does a demo start with them displaying the company's accolades? Hey, we were on this 100 list and this 100 list. You know what? I'm a prospect. I only care about me. And neuro-linguistic programming says, give me the stuff that matters first and the stuff that matters last, because those are the only two times I'm going to remember in the presentation.
Yes.
That's right. So you want to get that. So that's like things like that.
Can we agree that demos are 90% shit? They're canned.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like, the current process of doing demos is wrong. Okay. Yeah. What I mean by that is it has to start with, hey, let's have a conversation, Mr. Customer, so I can find out what the hell matters to you, so that when I'm delivering that demo is tailored to what it is that you want and care about, not just some canned bullshit that you may not even care about.
Yeah.
10% of it matters to you. If only 10% matters to me, that means 90% of the time I was tuned out, which means you're probably not going to get my
And you know what it
business.
means too?
What?
Price compression.
Mm.
Right? It means that your price is going to be pushed down because you can't show them the real value. So every company I've gone into, so I had a client for 2 years that I worked with right here across the street from King of Duke. And I went into them and I said, here's the deal. After you pay me, your margins will be higher, because I was chief sales officer for them. And they were like, there's no way. We're in a competitive market. Pricing's being pushed down, blah, 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 blah. But when you put the process in place to find out what the prospect really, really values, you can absolutely escalate prices every single time. Every company has room to move their prices up if you lean into how to be better for your customers.
Oh, can I love that? Because here's what I see. So when someone tells me, one of my clients tells me, oh, they're in a competitive market, I love that shit.
Yeah.
I love competitive markets. Here's why.
Who's not?
Exactly. For one, who's not? But I love it because companies and people are lemmings.
Yeah.
And they largely follow the same bullshit stuff, right? And so when you get into a competitive market, you're always going to have your folks. Most people are focused on selling price. They're driving down price. They're
Yeah.
They're focused on selling price and not solution.
Yeah.
And there's always a large segment of the market, or big enough segment of the market, that's willing to pay for the quality and the solution.
Yeah.
So when you change that, you flip that around and you're like, hey, look, yeah, if you want to play with the price guys, go play with the price guys. They suck. They're not delivering the value. Here's what I do. I'm investing in value.
Yeah.
I'm investing in quality, and be able to articulate that to them. I have found in my career, first of all, that's where the money is.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing the price game, there's no damn margin in that. Why do that? Focus on the quality, focus on the solution, focus on the value, and you will kick ass in what seems like a competitive market. So when people tell me, oh, we're really competitive, oh, great, I love it. So let's turn around that shit around. Stop focusing on pushing down your price. Stop focusing on just the widget stuff, and let's get back focused on solution and building value in what it is that we do. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, 100%. Understand your customer, man. Get your customer to understand what they value and solve the problem. Like, remember how I said the quick fix for your persona? It's the emotional thing. It's the emotional problem. It's the business problem. It's the intuitive problem. The intuitive problem is where the money is. The unknown problem, the thing they can't see. That's where the money is. That's what they'll pay for.
Dude, you dropped sales bombs on the show today. Fire, my man. Listen, tell people when they want to get a hold of. First of all, I know you've got an initiative here that's coming up. You spent a lot of time creating a kick-ass system. I want to make sure that we don't miss mentioning that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I can do the real quick. You've heard kind of the name come up. It's called the Sales Alpha Roadmap. And what it is, it's an outbound sales system that we've put in place it's the smoking kind of 2 offers. We'll do it with you or we'll do it for you. And it literally is soup to nuts. It's templates, it's worksheets, it's videos. It is, how do I create an outbound sales system that can double the amount of opportunities that I have coming through my sales team? And how do I have that up and running in under 30 days?
Nice.
It's just fantastic.
Who's it for?
It's for businesses that sell to other businesses. And I would say this, product service, you're probably doing in excess of $2 million and you have at least one dedicated rep who can make calls, because we go omni-channel with this. So it's prospecting, it's cadences that are set up to make sure that we get across people on social, calls, emails, video. I'll tell you, we've been working on it really, really hard. So our beta client, so to speak, just went in on it. They went from booking 3 appointments in the month before we got there, demos, to 9 appointments in the first 6 days of this month.
Nice.
Like, if you ever said to yourself, if you're a business owner who's ever said to yourself, man, I wish I could just had a process that I knew I could be confident in, that I could put my salespeople into and say, this will generate business for me. That's what the Sales Alpha Roadmap is.
So how do people sign up or find more information about that?
The best way, because I haven't fixed the link to a cute URL yet, but there's probably a couple ways. One, hit me up on LinkedIn. It's Ken Lundin, Lundin. So hit me up on LinkedIn. You can go to the website at kenlundin.com. You can come in through my good friend, Ron L. Richards, and he knows how to get me to you. So
I think I know where to track you down. It's probably Jim.
Yeah. So we can do all that stuff. But yeah, so it's an awesome, awesome product. If you're thinking, if you are a business that wants to double your revenue in the next 2 years, then, it's worth the 10-minute conversation to just see whether or not there might be a fit.
Nice. Now, where can people, they want to contact you, they want to connect with you beyond this, just in general, or get access to this genius, this sales genius that is Ken Lundeen? What's the best way for them to reach out to you and connect with you?
Yeah, so KenLundeen.com, Ken at KenLundeen.com, LinkedIn. I mean, I'm on all the social channels,
made it complicated.
Man. Yeah, I'm on all the...
Ken at Ken Lundeen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I'm on all the social channels, and, you know, heck, if you're in Lake Lanier in Atlanta, you might see Ronell and I on a boat. Just wave us down.
I hope so. Dude, I hope so, because I enjoy that. So, hey, as we're closing out, first of all, man, thanks so much for being part of this thing. You dropped fire today. This is going to be tremendous benefit to our audience. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the audience. Anything you want to leave people with in terms of just, you know, some advice, motivation, inspiration to keep it going out there, because I know you have been through the gauntlet and you've come out on the other side. And there are a lot of people that are going through that right now. As we're doing this thing post-quarantine, post all this shit, there's so many people that are going through things, and you've been through things. What can you share with them to keep them fired up and inspired?
Yeah, I think probably number one, adjust your mindset. Get off your back foot and get on your front foot, right? Be aggressive, lean into the process, lean into going to get business. Because if not now, when? Right. So I'd say first thing, if you're sitting back and you feel like life's kind of bumping you and you're on your back foot and you're a little hesitant about engaging the world, don't be, because at the end of the day, quite frankly, that's the only thing you have control over is your actions. You know, there's Ben Bergeron's a famous CrossFit coach, said there's the event, there's your response, and then there's the outcome.
That guy that posted that shit about Black Lives Matter.
No. This guy's a coach. But he said, you know, it's the event that happens plus your response equals your outcome. And truly, you can control your response. So I'd say right now, as we're going through this, there's everything from the business component of it to, you know, the social things that are going on, the George Floyd thing. There's all these things, but I'd say control what you can control. Get on your front foot. Take control of your life.
Yeah.
Don't worry about being judged for being somebody who wants to be excellent, because sometimes that's what we all kind of get in this thing where we're like, your friend group or whatever is pushing on you, and it's like, you know, I want to be excellent, and either come along with me or not. But I think the biggest thing I'd say is adjust your mindset to one that can make a positive impact in your own world.
I love it. Hey, my man, I appreciate you. Very much enjoyed having a drink with you. And with that, guys, we end like we always end. And this is your first time, so we always end. It's been a couple of months. Again, we're 3 months since our last show. We always end with we out. And we're going to do this as a team. I used to do it myself, but now I'm like, oh, I want my guests to get in on it too. So,
well, now that you know that I like Tupac, I mean, that gives me some street cred.
Well, I was a Biggie fan.
I know, but I'm a West Coast guy.
You're West Coast. You are. All right, guys. With that said, thank you so much for listening. If you like the podcast, tell your friends, man. Let them know what we're doing over here. We're bringing value to the people. And make sure you continue to rate and review us. 5 stars. 5 stars, great reviews. If you don't feel like giving us 5 stars, have another damn drink. Then you'll feel like you're 5-star ready. Thank you so much, guys. And with that, my friend, we out.
Thank you for listening to the Business and Bourbon Podcast. Please subscribe. And if you like us, give us a 5-star rating. If you don't, have another drink. Maybe you'll feel a little bit differently. If you'd like to check out our videos, you can go to businessandbourbon.tv. That's businessandbourbon.tv. In addition to that, we're currently touring the United States with our Business and Bourbon live show. It's a fantastic show where we do a whiskey education and we do some Q&A, and it's a great networking event as well. So if you'd like to attend one of our Business and Bourbon live events, you can go to businessandbourbon.live. Again, that's businessandbourbon.live. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you the next time.